What's Good podcast.
Are you ready?
Your number one source
to all the keys in the industry.
With Brianna Javon.
It's the What's Good podcast.
What's good? Hey, ladies and gents, this is your girl, Brianna Javon, and we are here with another episode of What's Good podcast. As you can see, we have another guest with us. His name is Kenny. How are you?
I'm blessed.
All right, so we're still in season 8, and we're focused on real estate. So, as you guys know, we do not have interviews. We have genuine conversations, so let's get into it.
That's right.
All right, what we usually do is start the conversation with an icebreaker. Are you ready for your icebreaker?
I think so. I think I'm ready.
Okay, I promise it's not gonna hurt you. It's not gonna hurt you. Okay. So, as a former collegiate basketball player, right? What if you had a chance to assemble a team of historical figures for a 3-on-3 game? Who would be on your team and why?
Ooh, we getting off with some heat, huh? Okay. When you say historical figures, are these athletes or
It does
is
not.
anybody?
It could be anybody because, again, there may be people who are strategic that can play the game. There could be people who are athletic that can play the game. So
Okay.
however you feel.
And I just got to assume they could hoop, right? Okay. So historical figures for a 3-on-3 game. I'm on the team too.
Right. Or you could be a
So,
coach. Let's say that.
I'm going to coach them up. So I would love to coach if I had to talk about greats. Muhammad Ali would be a historical figure for sure. I think he has a good mental, keep the team driven, a good mindset with everything like that. Another person that would definitely be on my squad, I would put Pele, played soccer, Brazilian legend.
Okay.
I would put him on the squad just because he can move a little bit, get us a good audience, get us that global feel, make some noise. If I had to pick one other person, I'd get my man Mandela.
Nice.
Nelson Mandela. Yeah, that'd be my squad. We go undefeated, by the way.
I love that.
Yeah, you got to. I feel like they each got their own different elements that they would add to the squad.
Approaches.
Ali would be my dude that holds
The
down
tech
our paint.
part of it,
You know what I mean? Then I would have my man Pele running through, dancing on folks. And then, Mandela is just going to smooth things out. you know, 'cause people don't like losing.
Don't
When
throw
they
the
get upset,
assist.
dish it out, keep it cool.
Okay, look at you. You got a plan from A to B. Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into our conversation.
That's right.
We usually start off with who is the guest. So who is Kenny?
Man, Kenny, it's a lot of things. Kenny is growing. Kenny is ever evolving. Kenny is a man that is God-fearing, loves God first. Kenny is an older brother, a realtor, entrepreneur as well. I think the best way to define myself, if you encompass everything that I'm involved in, is I'm a servant leader. All of my businesses encompass service. So my goal in life is to help other people accomplish and live their dreams. And I believe that real estate and other things outside of real estate, but primarily real estate, is a great way to help people accomplish that.
I love it. So what was a pivotal point of your life where you realized, okay, I know I'm a servant, but how am I going to use the gifts that God has given me to help people? Why did you choose real estate?
That's a great question. I had to take that back, when I really learned to understand what it meant to serve. And, growing up, I always thought the mindset of having wealth and being in that type of space meant that you had to be within yourself. And at times, especially in school, I found myself very driven and very motivated, but all of the knowledge and things that I was gaining stayed within me. So when I finished and graduated college, I graduated summa cum laude with a 3.9.
Congratulations.
Glory to God. That's a whole different journey. That's a whole different journey we could talk about. But, I realized that within a year, a lot of my peers were reaching out to me, whether it was asking for help, asking for advice, asking for different things. And I had to take a step back and say, wait a minute, there's a gap. So as I started to dig deeper into just learning about the economy, I realized, a quote that always sticks with me is 90% of millionaires attribute their wealth to real estate. And, in our population as African Americans, we own the least amount of real estate. So what better way to bridge that gap in wealth and convert us from consumers to owners than helping to accomplish their goals in home ownership?
So how are you educating yourself for you able to provide the information that you, like you mentioned, you receive so much, but it's the given part that was the gap in between. So how are you educating yourself to stay with the trends and things of that nature?
That's a great question. First of all, I love what I do. Like I am so fulfilled with just how many people thank me for whatever it is that we're able to help them accomplish, whether it's building their credit, helping them save money on bills, helping them purchase, buy, sell houses. I always just give that joy and glory back to God because he puts these people in front of me, and I go, my job is to be a good steward of what's in front of me. And I think the joy that I get cultivates my motivation to continue to learn, continue to grow. One thing about me, before I entered real estate, I was actually a financial advisor for over half a decade. I served dentists and doctors and medical professionals over a region of 8 states. So that gave me a really strong foundation in the numbers, in the market, and how money ebbs and flows, and what's important for people to have. And when I coupled that into real estate, now my passion intersected with my preparation.
Oh.
You know what I mean? So now I'm eager. I'm always eager to learn, always eager to grow. And I have a great team behind me. I work with the largest brokerage in the world, Keller Williams. So being able to tap into different resources that we have to continue to keep us updated and educated on the market. And then, going out on myself, I just got a pricing strategy advisor certification.
Nice.
And so many different things to just help people out. But yeah, long-winded answer.
No, you're good. So I'm wondering, when there's a situation like that you may not know, right? Do you go to your team or do you do your own research? What does that process look like?
I love that question. I love that question. Everything that you're asking me is like building out from my past, right?
Right. It's a little therapy session.
Yeah, a little bit. And the reason I love that question is because I grew up from a family of immigrants. So I'm the oldest and a first generation American, African American here in the States where my family lineage is concerned. So what that has meant in my life is I've had to figure a lot of things out on my own.
Especially being the oldest.
Right? So I've become extremely resourceful in being able to find the right answers and being able to find the right opportunities, the right education, the right programs, whatever it is that my clients are in need of. I always tell people, a professional is somebody who knows what they know and has the confidence to give you everything that they know to help. But it's also somebody who has the humility to tell you when they don't know, but has the resourcefulness to go and find that answer.
Yes. So what does your team look like? 'Cause I know you mentioned you have a wonderful team. Keller Williams, biggest brokerage. So, so what does your team look like when it comes to like assisting you, collaboration?
Yeah. Where I'm concerned, the core of everything and what I'm doing, it just starts with God, keeping God at the center of what we do, aligning my steps to make sure that I'm going in the right direction because, as a leader, if you have no vision, you can't lead. And that's extremely important to me. As it breaks down to my personal team and what I run with, I have a team of loan officers that are phenomenal. I mean, we have access to over 100 down payment assistance programs just here in Texas.
Discuss what, like, just for people who don't know what a loan officer is. What is a loan officer?
Great question. So in real estate, a lot of people, when you look to buy a house, you just think of like me, the realtor. But that's not everybody who's involved. There's a lot of people who work behind the scenes. And a loan officer is equally as important as me because they deal with all the numbers and all the money. So a loan officer is the person that will look through your finances, look through your income, look through your credit to make sure that you can get pre-approved. You get pre-approved, you can go buy a house. So the loan officer is very, very important. And involved with me directly every single step of that process.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, going back to the team aspect, loan officers are licensed in, I believe, all 50 states, or maybe just shy of all 50 states. Credit repair.
That's
I have
important.
a credit repair team that, a lot of people actually don't know this, but there's 2 types of credit.
Okay.
There's mortgage credit and there's consumer credit. And some of the things that I bump my head about when I hear people's stories is, they go to these credit repair experts and these people only fix their consumer credit.
Ah.
Right? And only touching the consumer credit in some cases can actually derail your mortgage credit.
How?
There's different standards.
Gotcha. Okay.
There's different standards, there's different guidelines. So what you might need to be able to, consumer credit is like, I want to get a credit card or I want to go get a car or something like that. But, the mortgage industry is extremely, extremely strict on their guidelines. That's a 30-year loan.
Gotcha.
For hundreds of thousands of dollars. So the guidelines are just so different. And I would say the biggest example of what causes this consumer credit to hurt the mortgage credit is a lot of people just put disputes. So they dispute. But then if you look at a lender and the lender sees that, then they're like, what is actually going on here? Because a dispute doesn't mean anything happened. It's just a dispute.
That's good to know, because that's what a lot of credit experts say. You got to dispute this to take this off to increase your credit. But you're saying on the other end, for mortgage, that may deter you in certain
it very
ways.
well may. It very well may. Everybody's situation is different, but that's my score went up 40 points within 2 weeks.
Wow.
It's all about knowing what to attack, knowing what to address, because it's not everything that needs to be touched to get your score where it needs to be.
Okay. So we said a loan officer, credit repair, anybody else on the team?
Loan officer, credit repair. We have Harrison, great with the marketing, does like videos and content for our team. We have our back office staff. Shout out to Kim, shout out to Josh, shout out to Sarah. Josh and Sarah are actually leaders of our market center, and Kim kind of holds it down on the admin side, but that's people who help make sure that we stay educated, stay on top of our game, stay on top of our numbers, the knowledge, and everything in the industry. And then shouting out, of course, Keller Williams being the biggest brokerage in the world. I have agents, all 50 states, different countries that it's like, we just closed a house in North Carolina for one of my clients. This was the start of July. Well, I didn't fly back and forth to North Carolina. Like, I'm not. But I was able to pick up the phone and call somebody and say, hey, I have this client that's moving to your area, give them the same treatment that I would give my client, take care of them, and we got it done.
Okay, so with that being said, because now we're talking about clients, right?
Yeah.
What does it look like for a client to come to you as far as the process, and they're saying, hey, I'm looking to invest? If it's property, commercial property, rent to own, whatever the case may be, what does that process look like for them to step one to actually getting things done and now they own a home?
I love that. I love that question. Investing is it's like a hot button topic. Like everybody wants to invest, and I love it. I think it's very important to invest and grow your portfolio of assets, and I think we are in an era where financial literacy is so huge. But the most important thing, and this goes back to my experience on the finance side, is understanding somebody's why.
True.
Understanding what this is going to accomplish. And I think most importantly, above those 2 things, is understanding how risk averse they truly are.
Gotcha.
So now if we're in a situation where all of the boxes check and we can move forward, then it's just simply sitting down. We'll have a face-to-face conversation with myself, get an idea of what you are looking to accomplish. When it comes to houses, right? There's a lot of different strategies, but if your goal is to produce income, we're looking for multiple doors. How many doors can we get under one roof, right? Because if I can, let's just say the average rent in DFW is $2,000 a month. If I only have one house, single family home, it's only giving me $2,000 a month. If I can get a duplex now, that's 4.
Right.
A triplex is 6. A quadplex is 8. So looking at, but again, that goes back to how much can somebody afford and put in their
Their
portfolio,
budget.
and then just building that out. And I think the best thing with investments is you can always start somewhere. Whether it's purchasing a house, whether it's purchasing a condo, whether, hey, I have other investors, they want to go in with cash, they get hard money. We're looking at the ARV model, how much can we actually put into this home, and then what's our value going to be after our repairs when we put it back on the market. So there's tons of different strategies, but I think it really just comes down to sitting down and understanding a true picture of your why, what their goals are, and then building out that plan.
Nice. So what is one thing as a requirement for you to take on a client?
Coachability. Coachability
Okay.
is the biggest thing. And I feel this pain for other realtors. Well, let me actually take a step back. Let me give you some numbers.
Okay.
So we live in Dallas, Texas, DFW, right? Dallas-Fort Worth. In our metroplex, there are over 50,000 plus realtors, people who are realtors. Of that 50,000, 80% work part-time. So they do real estate part-time as agents. And of that 80%, 60% don't make any money.
Oh, wow.
Making, at least in real estate.
Got part-time, because,
Yeah.
sometimes they may not be making money. That's why they have a full-time job.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly. And I say that to say there's a lot of people who are untrained. So what tends to happen when people talk to me is, especially when they've been working with another agent, is that agent may not have any sort of system or any sort of process. So they'll go look at 15, 20 houses, not even know that the person is pre-approved.
Makes sense.
So then if you have that, hey, I can just run this person around or whatever the case might be, and you come to me, we have structure.
Right. It's the difference. We got process and procedures.
Right? And you have to be willing to understand that our goal is not to shop. It's to say, hey, this is why I want the house. This is what this house is going to accomplish for me. These are the boxes that need to be checked. So let's go out. I'm going to find you a house that checks all of those boxes. And when we find it, we're putting it in offer. Very simple, And so when it gets outside of that and it's like, well, I want to see this and I want to see that. By the time we go see that in our market, you're going to lose out on both.
Because at this point, you need to have a tunnel vision.
Yeah.
Because distractions can definitely get in the way.
Distractions, I mean, Dallas is the fastest growing metroplex in the country.
I believe it.
Like, our city grows by over 400 people a day. Whether that's migration, childbirth, but we are growing so fast. So as you can imagine, in real estate, it's ultra competitive. So if you go into a situation where you see a house on Monday, fits everything, but you want to drag your feet and go look at another house on Wednesday, by the time Wednesday comes, you may lose out on both. So yeah, we just got to have systems in place and be coachable to understand, I'm going to help you accomplish your goal, and you need to let me guide you and just trust that I'll do a great job.
Nice. Okay. So I have a question, because we are both a part of the strategic growth program at Comerica, and you threw out a lot of numbers. Did you find out these numbers before the market research or during? Because we've been practicing, learning more about our industry in order for us to pretty much grow.
Yes.
So how are you finding all of these numbers and doing your research?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's a culmination of both. So I live and breathe real estate.
Yeah.
And it's...
Because I can tell it brings you so much joy as we talk about it.
I love it so much. So it's unintentional. I'll drive by and I'll hear something, on the radio or hear something in the podcast. And I'm like, let me look this up. Let me get more educated on it. Or I'll have a side conversation and somebody will say something. And I'm like, that's a good point. Let me look into it. So I find myself always growing in my knowledge base without, I guess, necessarily purposefully seeking things. But then to your point about the market research, it is extremely important. And I think those concepts are more business oriented. You want to make sure your business is aligned with your market and that you're taking those steps to make sure that you're in an area where you're not wasting your time.
Right.
So I attribute that, shout out VR, with just being intentional about finding out what the statistics are. Who's buying houses in my area? What demographic are these people? Who's selling? What pockets of Dallas are really growing and different things, So, I mean, a part of my research, I'll share this with you. I found out that they're putting over $1 billion with a B, big B.
Okay, Campbell.
They're putting $1 billion into like the Fair Park, South Dallas.
Really?
Area. Yeah, that area is being gentrified. I actually had a conversation with the judge, District Judge Stacey Williams. Vote for Stacey Williams, free game. And man, she was telling me so many things about just the gentrification process and the education and what's happening within Dallas. So essentially, everybody business-wise in the economy in Dallas is moving north.
True.
Frisco, Plano, McKinney, all those areas are like booming. And the legislation in Dallas is like, hold up, this is Dallas.
Right.
So part of what's going on is Dallas trying to rebuild the infrastructure to attract people to move and want to be in Dallas.
Nice.
And then you have other huge events coming to the States. You have the World Cup that will be here in 2 years. The
Universal
Olympics
Studios.
are coming. Universal Studios headquarters are moving down here. The city feels like they have a reason to. That's what's going on.
That's so funny that you said that about South Dallas, because a good friend of mine reached out to me and he was like, well, you've been in real estate, been talking to people in real estate. How's the trends in South Dallas? I'm like, girl, that is not my industry. We're going to have to put you in connection with somebody. So it's just so funny that you said that. So I'm going to pass it along to her so she'll know, because there's some condos and it's already off of Malcolm X. It's already being gentrified out in that area, but by itself are those only condos, but everything else is just land. And she was like, just look at the address and see. I'm like, I am not a real estate agent. But it's just so funny that she said that, because that is a definite plug for people to realize, even though it may not look the nicest or the ambiance, doesn't mean that it should just be abandoned. You should just look at it and see what the trends are going to be, learn about it to see if you want to purchase or not, and get in touch with somebody like Kenny to understand what those trends mean. Okay. And so this is a good transition into our next segment, which is called One Free Advice. I think a lot of times we pay thousands and thousands of dollars for just to get mentorships, go to get courses, do all these different things. And by the time we leave, a lot of things are just over our head. We didn't really understand it. You may be an expert, but I may be, a beginning stage. So I don't really comprehend exactly what you're saying. So for the One Free Advice, is there anything that you can tell listeners that they're listening right now to either get started today, get started tomorrow, get some type of inspiring advice, anything as far as advice you feel that they can receive and get started on it?
I love that. I'm going to take this past just real estate.
Okay. You're right. We had this conversation. It don't have to be necessarily real estate. It can be life lessons, whatever the case.
Just past real estate for a second, because people need to realize the economy is changing. The landscape of the world as we know it is going to drastically change as AI starts to evolve and so many different things, right? My challenge and advice to everybody is to be very, very, very intentional about knowing their numbers. And what do I mean by that? If everybody that's watching this right now, by a show of hands, of course I can't see it, but when you listen to this, just think about last week. How many people actually know how much money that they even spent last week?
That's true.
We know how much we make. I make $70,000, $80,000 a year. I make $1 million a year, but how much do we spend? I was at a men's conference this morning, and Bishop Jacobs talked about, wealth is not about how much money you make. Wealth is about how much you get to keep. And the gap between wealth and financial abundance is what we're spending. So hone in on the numbers is the first thing. And the second thing is create a plan. Where do you actually want to go? in the next couple of years. There's so many resources out there to educate yourself where you don't have to spend thousands of dollars on a coach up front. But the intentionality is so crucial with knowing those numbers and to set a plan for the future. So that's honestly just free game. Be intentional. Know the numbers, know where you're going, know your why. And if all of that doesn't help, I have an app that's dropping in about 3.5 weeks. And it's going to be a breeding ground for education and business and all things where it comes to real estate. But this can also be another topic that I speak on to help. And it's a free app for consumers. So it's called Dreams to Doorsteps.
Nice. Okay, look at you. Okay, so our next segment is about highs and lows. Again, does not have to pertain to real estate. So let's start with your highs. Anything that you can say, oh yes, Kenny, I did this. This was amazing, that you want to share with us.
So highs and lows, I think that's a great question. And I want to take this back to when I was in school. So, I mentioned earlier, I graduated summa cum laude, 3.9, glory to God, all those good things. But my journey did not start that way. I actually got kicked out of school, suspended. I actually still have the letter to this day. It's hey, best of luck on your future endeavors, but we don't want you. Summing it up. That time was in the winter of 2016. From about mid-December to early January, I was lost. Like, I felt like a failure. There was times when I didn't leave my room for days at a time. I just really felt like I had let a lot of people down, including myself. And honestly, as I look back on it, I had an identity crisis when I first started college, trying to define and find myself and figure out how to navigate my own goals and wishes and expectations for myself versus the cultural and family expectations that I had on me. And what it turned out being was, when I got to that point, I was chasing a dream that wasn't aligned with what I really wanted in life. I was chasing somebody else's dream. In our culture, we always joke about it, but as Nigerians, you have 3 choices. You can be a doctor,
Right.
you can be a lawyer, or you can be an engineer. And I thought engineering was my path. Like, yeah, I'm going to be an engineer. I'm going to go work for it. Lockheed, and nah, no chance. No chance. So yeah, after, what was that, my 3rd semester, and I had failed chemistry like 3 times in a row. I was still in pre-calc. Like, it was just a mess. But that final semester, here's where, God is so amazing. I took a business class for the first time. And I aced it.
Nice.
And I loved it. And I was like, I want to focus on this. So going back to that time at home, I ended up having a real strong conversation with my mom. And I was like, you know what? This is what I actually find passion and joy in. And this is what I actually really want to do. She said, all right, go for it if that's what it's going to take. And I switched my major from mechanical engineering to business.
Nice.
And since then, I don't think I got anything less than an A in any business class for my career. So that transition looked like community college to 3 classes, got all A's. And then going to the basketball side, I got kicked out, right? So I couldn't go back to that school, that conference. That was a Division II school. And I had to kind of reinvent myself. And by the end of that summer, I was working out, just having my friends come and record videos of me in the gym. And I ended up getting a scholarship to go play basketball in Kansas City. And that's kind of how everything worked together. Shout out Park University, shout out Coach Klein for the opportunity and for the plug. But that's how everything came together for me.
I love that for you. And look where you are today, suited and booted in real estate. Business entrepreneur style.
We here now.
Love that. Okay. Okay, so we're going towards the end because you did your highs and your lows, which is a beautiful story.
Yeah.
And so now I want you to tell people how they can get in contact with you.
Sure.
If there's a website, how they can sign up to be a part of your app, to get more information, whatever the case may be, let the people know.
Absolutely. So, first of all, just stay connected with me, right? Like social media, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, you can find me at Kenny Does Homes. Very simple. At Kenny, Kenny, Does Homes. So follow me on all of those platforms. Just be able to stay connected with me. If you want to reach me directly, my cell phone number is 469-949-8827. That's going to go to directly myself or my team, but that's the easiest way to reach me. I don't know if there's people who reach out by email first, but if you want to email me, my email is kenny@dreams2, the number 2, dreams2doorsteps.com. So dreams with an S, 2, number 2, doorsteps with an S.com. And then the app, my app, it's not released yet, but that's going to be Dreams 2 Doorsteps. You'll see my logo on there and everything. And then what was the other? Was there another thing?
It just all your handles. I think you said everything, but just in case, it's just as a reminder.
Yeah.
Yes, anything for people to get in contact.
Yeah, that's pretty much the biggest thing. All of my information, really, if you find me on social media, I have my card on there, my digital business card. So if you find me, again, at Kenny Does Homes, there's a link to my card and you'll have everything. You have my website, the link to my app, my email, like everything is on there. Do that and you should be good.
Nice. And tap in. It's going to be in the show notes as well. So one-stop shop.
Yeah.
All right. So the last thing is our motivational moment before we close out. And it's usually like a scripture, a quote, anything that sparks my eye. I'll say it. I'll say what it means to me, and then you can say what it means to you, and it's a wrap.
Okay.
Okay, so I think yours is a scripture. Let me just double check. Okay, yes. So yours is, do not withhold good from those whom it is due, when it is in your power to act. And this is Proverbs 3:27. So when I read this in regards to you in this interview and just being an entrepreneur, period, it's not about us, right? I think God gives us gifts to help people understand that, for one, we're a testimony, and for us to provide that knowledge and let them know they can do it as well. Even though it may look hard on our end, because again, days can look real dark. As being an entrepreneur, right? We're learning, we're growing. There's so many things that we have to stay up to date with. But at the end of the day, God has given us the vision, and He won't put too much on us to where we can't handle it. So if He's given it to us, we can handle it, because at the end of the day, it's not about us. It's about making sure that we show up for people who need these things. And so when I read this scripture, that was the first thing that came to my mind is that it's not about us. We have to make sure that these gifts that we have been blessed with, we have to make sure that we provide and support people who don't have these things, that don't have these resources, that aren't as tapped in as we are tapped in.
Come on.
So what are your thoughts?
Man, where's the mic? We just got to drop the mic. Like, I don't even got to share nothing. That was perfect. Like, no, I love everything that you just said. And there's really, I guess, to echo that point, right? Like, I truly believe every single person on this earth is unique, gifted, and purposed in their own way. Without you being the authentic version of you, there's something or someone that is missing the opportunity to be blessed by you. And that can be the smallest thing in the world. It can be the biggest thing. But the true thing that really, really matters is walking within your own authenticity. And we are all here and learning and growing to be a blessing to somebody else. So I can't be a billionaire wanting to bless people financially or however else that is, if I haven't allowed Kenny to mold to be the person where I can bless others authentically and organically. So, yeah, I think that scripture is so amazing, and it goes back to everything that I believe in being a servant leader, is because the true meaning of my life, I don't define it by how much money I make, how many deals that I close, but what I really define my life by is how many lives have I got to impact and change. I think if that is at the core of what I continue to do, then it allows me to be in alignment with what God has purposed me to be here for.
I love it. Thank you so much, Kenny.
I appreciate you.
Did you enjoy
I appreciate
yourself?
you. Now, this is a phenomenal time. Like, this conversation was so smooth. You are a great, I don't even know if the word is moderator, host, facilitator, but
Yeah.
you know, I could tell you really did your homework. Great questions, and I would love to be on again sometime in the future.
Sure, indeed. Was there anything that you feel like I missed? Anything that you wanted to tap in and share?
You know, I like to ask questions.
Okay.
So I want to ask you, what is your biggest joy in being able to provide this platform where entrepreneurs or other people in the community can, you know, speak and share their stories?
I think my biggest joy is because, and this is a part of my journey, when I was staying in Houston, going to school out there, I'm born and raised in Dallas, but I had no idea these amazing people were out here. And so I started tapping in, going to events, and just putting myself out there to understand what the community is of Dallas. When I started hearing all these different stories and hearing how people came from A to point B, and I'm like, dang, like, these some fabulous people up in Dallas, but I'm sure there are people like me that don't know this, right? And so I'm just grateful that I have this type of platform for people to hear what's happening in Dallas and understand that I get these stories, but I want you to have these stories as well. And also, if you can get a nugget or two to help you where you are, that's just even better than what I could ever imagine. And so that's the reason why initially I came from a hiatus. We had to talk about this later.
Ooh.
But initially, I was having events to have these stories. Of course, you hear it through either video or audio, but I was having in-person events so people can not only see it, but they can also touch it. Because we're here in Dallas. And that's the reason why my main focus now is in Dallas versus doing all across the nation, because I want to make sure that you hear these inspirational stories, but let's get you in the same room.
Right.
That's where the joy comes from, with the connection part. So if you needed a photographer, you're meeting them at the events. If you needed a real estate agent, now you have a plethora of them on the season that you can choose from, right? So you have all these different things that's tying into these different themes that I have on the podcast, to where now you have the resources to act upon. There's no more excuses. What season, what is the theme for the season? You let me know. Because at the end of the day, if y'all are voting for it, that means there's a need there. So that's my biggest joy, just making sure that I fulfill that need.
I love that. So it sounds like you are really intentional about understanding the desires and needs of the audience, and then seeking out the individuals who can present, you know, that value in that area to the best of the ability. I love that. So you're also very resourceful then.
I try to be.
Yeah.
Because my thing is, if I don't have it, I want to build a network where I can reach out to so we can come and help you as a community.
Nice.
Because it shouldn't just always be a no. It's like, let me think about it. Let me do some research and get back to you.
Nice.
That is very important to me.
Okay. You got time for one more question?
Go for it.
Who is the one guest that you would really like to have on this show that you haven't had a chance to have on this show yet?
Oh.
And it could be anybody.
Anyone? Oh, that's a really great question. Of course, people would say Oprah Winfrey, but that's not for me. Who would it be? That's an amazing
No shade to
question.
Oprah. Come on, my show. We good.
Who comes to me initially would be Jamie Foxx, only because of how multi-talented he is and how he didn't just see himself as one thing and put himself in different situations to be where he is today. He's a comedian, he's a singer, he's an actor. He just didn't stop at one gift that God gave him, but he explored all of the gifts God has given him.
I love that.
And I think a lot of times we get comfortable in seeing things one way, but to be honest, a lot of times God gives us these opportunities to where we should tap in to see what these other things that he has given us to explore. And so I love, even he's a Texas boy too, so that's that is a plus. But I just really admire how he just didn't stick to one gift.
Yeah.
So a lot of times people say, explore that one thing and stick to it. And that's going to be your moneymaker. And I think that's false. I think that's false. I think if you sprinkle a little bit here, sprinkle a little bit there, and at times you may have an opportunity where you can use all of your gifts in that one scenario.
Wow.
But a lot of times we get scared because we're like, ooh, should I do it? Should I not do it? But you will never know what those gifts are until you actually explore those.
Yep.
So that would be one person in particular. Yeah.
Okay. You got you spitting out some nuggets there, man. Actually, there was one gift you left out. Shout out Jamie Foxx. I had a pair of sunglasses on today that's his brand, Privé Review. The Glide.
Yes.
The Glide. Shout out my man Jamie Foxx.
Yeah, he does. He has some, like he just did a pickleball line of different equipment that you can do pickleball in.
Wow.
I mean, the man is just like going. And I'm just like, I love that for you.
Yeah.
Love that.
Okay.
And I'm saying, and that just reflects on my mom as well. She was married to my dad for 20 plus years. They got a divorce. They're still best friends to this day. But I'm loving to see her restart her life. I'm loving the fact that even though that has happened, she's finding herself again.
Yeah.
She's moving forward, figuring out what she likes, what she doesn't like. And she's not going to allow that situation to deter her, but instead moving forward to reinvent herself again. So
I love that.
I just love seeing stories unfold like that.
Yeah,
It's crazy. My background is in business.
Is it really?
I went to school for accounting and I got my MBA. So I don't know how I got to media, but this is where we are today.
We got multiple talents, right?
Yes.
So, when it comes to crunching numbers and your podcast grows to $1 million company,
We're going to put that in the air, absolutely.
You're going to know who to have in place and everything like that. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any more questions?
Well, I think you said some great things about tapping into multiple gifts and different things. So there was one question that came from that. This is going to just tap into your mindset a bit, but there's a proverb, this is Nigerian proverb, that says, if you chase 2 rabbits, you catch none. And there's also another one about rabbits. I don't know why we love rabbits. It says, chase a black rabbit when there's daylight.
Okay.
Right, because at night, it's too dark, you can't find the rabbit.
That's true.
So going back to what you said about people finding or being fearful to explore other opportunities or other gifts that they have, what do you think is the number one reason that people hold themselves back? And what do you think it would take to change that narrative?
All right. This is something recent, our conversation, when it comes to fear. So people that's listening know that, of course, I'm a podcaster, but I'm also a podcast producer, and that was going to be my niche. I was just going to stick to creating content for podcasters, however I can show up. But there has been so many opportunities that's been coming my way regarding not only doing content for podcasters, but also the entrepreneur. And I was scared. I'm like, I don't know how to do that. What do y'all want me to do? How are we going to make this happen? And so I can only speak on myself that since it was new, that's what made me nervous because I'm comfortable in doing podcast things because that's the field that I'm in. But I'm forgetting on the other end that I'm also an entrepreneur. So why not create the content that you're creating for yourself for another entrepreneur just in their field? So I think we do get in our own heads. I do think it's imposter syndrome. I think a lot of times we don't see the vision. It's so foggy, we're scared to step into that. Versus, let me sit in it, let me think on it, let me see and create a plan, because I'm a very visual person. And then let's make it happen. A lot of times people just throw themselves into it too. And I love that for you. I love that for you. But if I can figure out the how, then it's an absolute yes. Because what we are saying, we're not going to leave any money on the table, right? So if I can figure out the how, yes, I'm going to start taking these opportunities versus saying no. And now I'm missing out on either strengthening these gifts or growing into a new gift. Those two things are very important to where I am today. So yes, I think that's where the fear comes in and how we can resolve those fears.
Wow. I'm going to make a comment on what you just said, and I promise I'm done. It's just very unique timing, you know, in our men's breakfast that we had today, Edify Men's Breakfast. I'm trying to think of who it was that was saying this. I believe this was Toure Roberts. And he was talking about the walk and what voices guide your walk. Is it fear? Is it shame? Is it discouragement? Or are your steps truly aligned, you know, with God? And something that he said is like, your steps are already ordered.
True.
God already sees the end in your beginning.
Absolutely.
So you have to take that step and walk in order to truly reach the destiny that you're supposed to be in. So I say that to encourage you because opportunities will not come to you if you weren't meant to be able to handle it. And the first step to take is just to walk, to walk. And, you know, my mentor always used to tell me this when I was an intern. He would say, his name is Armin Kadiwala. Shout out Armin. I'm just shouting everybody out. Love y'all. He said, courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is walking in light of it. So when you have those moments that you're fearful to take a step of something positive, just know that you're in alignment with where you're supposed to go. And you just got to take that step, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's scary, and know that you're already victorious at the end of that walk.
Okay, Kenny, you better speak a word on me. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you
Did
for
you
having
have
me.
any other questions for me?
This is such a natural conversation. I love all of these topics, so I could literally go for hours.
Nice. All right, ladies and gents. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you so much, Kenny, for being a guest on the show.
Yes.
If you're listening to this morning, noon, evening, or night, thank you so much, and we'll see you guys next time.
Let's go.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of What's Good podcast with your girl, Brianna Javon. If you found today's discussion inspiring, don't forget to hit the subscribe button on your preferred podcast platform. Explore additional resources on our website at whatsgood-productions.com and find our social media links listed in the show notes. Stay tuned for more captivating stories ahead. Until next time, stay blessed and keep uplifting your community.